I had to make a part two to the Kyle Odum video that I did because I just wanted to go more in depth about this man's experience. He had an experience that he truly believed was real. The man shot his pastor with hollow point bullets because he believed the man was an amphibian humanoid from Mars. And he believed this dude was part of a ancient extraterrestrial bloodline from across the cosmos with ancient technology that is far more advanced than we could wrap our heads around. This guy said millions of years advanced is the technology that these beings use. Now, this sounds very similar to the reptilian humanoid conspiracy, where, you know, if you go, and especially years ago, but if you were to go, say, back in the years of 2012 through 2018 and search for videos on reptilian humanoids, you would find all kinds of news reporters and politicians and this person and that person supposedly with their eye changing to the slit of a lizard, um, some type of glitch anomaly happening. It was something being caught on camera. There was so much footage of it. Whole YouTube channels dedicated to exposing these reptilian humanoids. Now, with the story of Kyle Odum and the amphibians from Mars, they are very similar to the reptilian conspiracy. Basically, like I said in the first video, it's almost like they are a distant cousin to the reptilians or something like that. I believe Kyle Odum's story is real. I was very fascinated by it. I have experienced strange stuff similar to what Kyle Odom has. I've seen what seemed like two people talking telepathically to each other. I've felt psychic attacks from people that I thought were people, but now thinking back on it, who knows? I have, had astral projection experiences. I've remote viewed the universe. Okay, so, I've had some experiences. I've read a lot of things. My mind is open to a lot of different things. I'm not closed minded. So, you know, I believe what he experienced is real. And he stumbled across some type of truth that they wanted to shut him down over. Think about this at the same time. This guy was a normal, everyday citizen. He was raised by a normal, loving family. This guy went into the Marines, okay? He had a successful career and successful life for the first, you know, 20 some years of his life. He was somewhere around 23 or so when he did what he did. Um, and got into the trouble that he did, but he accomplished a decent amount before he did what he did. So how does he go from a normal kid, a normal teenager, a normal guy in the Marines, to all of a sudden he believes he's being stalked psychically and telepathically everywhere he goes and messed with, mentally and psychologically by these amphibian humanoids? It just doesn't make sense. The story has to be real. Kyle Odom's experience has to be real, and the fact that they've said nothing else about him since they sentenced him to 25 years, really screams volumes. And on top of the Reddit post that I found of nobody knowing where he ended up because they tried to contact the jail that he was at, and they moved him from that prison to some other prison location that never was mentioned. The guy basically disappeared off the face of the earth. So, what really happened with Kyle Odom? One theory you could come up with is that the amphibians killed him once they relocated him from the prison that he was in. And maybe that was the whole point of getting him to mess up his life and go to prison so they could just off him. Who knows? It's just a theory. The fact that during his meditation experience, he encountered a blue light that he eventually saw was a being, it was a blue colored being, an intelligence that made him feel unconditional love and the whole love and light scene. But at the same time, it made him feel unconditional love. He felt like he was in the wrong and he wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. Shortly after that experience, he gets targeted by what he believes are these amphibian humanoids that look like people but aren't really people. They look just like people. You never tell the difference, but they are not. And they targeted him and drove him crazy. The fact that I've already mentioned that the beings that are part of the reincarnation soul trap in the astral plane and the higher astral plane, or whatever you want to call it in the afterlife, I've already talked about them being not only in the astral realm ready to reincarnate you and trick you and show up as your grandmother and whatever else, but they themselves have incarnated as humans or whatever. They're down here shapeshifting or whatever they're doing. They're working between dimensions to trick us and trap us and mess us up. And the fact that this was incorporated into his experience, where it started in the astral realm and then it came into the physical plane on Earth, where he was targeted and psychologically messed up and telepathically and psychically and all that. You can see why I mentioned that. And here is more proof of what I was talking about. If you go and you read his manifesto, you read the manifesto of Kyle Odum, you'll see the correlations that I have already talked about in previous videos that really, truly connects to the Kyle Odom story as well. Long before I even mentioned Kyle Odom or made a video about this guy. Another thing that Kyle Odom claims is, and I truly believe it too, is he says that these amphibian humanoids have created and bred their own stock of artificial humans. So not only are there extraterrestrial beings down here disguised as human through some type of technological means, but they also have some type of artificial humans that have been genetically bred to be mind controlled and, basically be at the whim of these extraterrestrial beings, for whatever services they want to use them for. And this really correlates to the whole NPC soulless human theory. And it honestly makes sense. If there were to be a soulless human down here, it would have to be a creation of some extraterrestrial or some other type of being, that would truly make it soulless. Or if you want to go as far and say it's AI, who knows, whatever you want to call it, but there's the correlation there. All in all, this was a very strange story when I first came across it some years ago. And the fact that he shot his pastor, Tim Remington, with hollow point bullets, and the dude recovered in like 2 or 3 weeks, basically back to 100%, when no normal human should even survive 1 or 2 shots from a hollow point. And this guy survived like 7 or 8 of them. It just goes to show that, what's hidden in plain sight. Now, I've come up with a theory. Maybe the beings that he encountered weren't actually amphibians from Mars. Maybe they were Pleiadians, or they could have been some type of other extraterrestrial group that tricked Kyle Odom and made him think that they were amphibians. Or maybe they were amphibians and they just revealed themselves to drive this guy absolutely nuts, to make him ruin his life. Who knows? But all in all, the truth is out there, and the far side of reality is crazier than you can imagine.